Introducing Chaka Fattah, president of Fattah Neuroscience Global Advisors. Fattah was elected and served for more than 20 years in the U.S. Congress. In Congress, Fattah, with the help of President Obama, successfully created the largest brain science effort in the nation's history, the Brain Initiative. Now, as a private citizen, Fattah has founded and is personally leading a professional consulting firm. The firm is focused on brain science and brain health. This new firm, Fattah Neuroscience, is designed as a catalyst in uplifting brain research.
Thank you to Chaka Fattah for not just the great introduction, but more importantly, your leadership, especially on the issues of brain research that have the potential to change so many lives.
The Fattah Neuroscience Initiative, this effort at trying to find an understanding in which we can attack successfully the over 500 plus brain diseases and disorders, everything ranging from dementia like Alzheimer's to autism or epilepsy, mental health challenges like schizophrenia. We have some 500 of these diseases, and the truth is that we don't have any effective treatments for any of them. And now we have moved to internationalize this effort. I've traveled to Europe and to Israel. I've been interacting with people from Japan and from France and other countries to figure out how we can work together with other governments who are interested in mapping the human brain and solving some of these challenges.
Honorable Chaka Fattah, and I want to thank you for all what you're doing in the Congress and elsewhere in order to boost up the relations between the EU and the United States in research and innovation in many fields, and in particular in the field of neuroscience.
Chaka Fattah is about the political science of neuroscience. In other words, how do we bring all this science together?
Every time I go anywhere, I find out that Congressman Fattah has just been there, Stanford, MIT, you name it, and every neuroscience lab you seem to have. I suspect you'll get an honorary PhD here pretty soon in neuroscience.
Early in my career, I had the honor to serve on the Board of Trustees of Lincoln University, an historically black college in the Philadelphia area. When I first joined the board, one of the important pride points that I was quickly reminded of was that Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana and the father of Pan-Africanism, had been educated at Lincoln. So as I was preparing to join you today, now join you, albeit I'm joining you virtually, I reflected nonetheless on that experience. And I thought of one of the most powerful and memorable quotes from President Nkrumah, when he declared, "I am not African because I was born in Africa. I'm African because Africa was born in me." Today, all of science understands that Africa is born in each of us, literally all of humanity. The straightforward DNA, the decoding of the human genome verifies absolutely that Africa is the birthplace of all humankind. Think about how amazing that is. Almost 8 billion people worldwide, and our genetic code, our DNA, is 99.9% exactly the same as every other human being. The focus of our collective interest in this conference is the human brain. In fact, it's the modern human brain. For those of us engaged in or supporting the investigation of the miracle of the human brain, we are wise to start with the scientific clues that are known and then look for answers to the yet unknown. The science proves that the evolution of the modern human brain took place in Africa. Now, if you would, please hold that point. I need to take this moment to express my sincere gratitude and to recognize and thank 4 individuals who are responsible for my opportunity to address this important conference. First, I want to thank Professor Ihuwu and Dr. Amote, the General Secretary and Chair of the Organizing Committee locally. I also want to acknowledge Fattah Global's partners, Vice Chancellor Kihune at Dayton Commodity University and Dr. Kutone, UNESCO's Future Literacy Chair for Africa. I want to also recognize the other extraordinary speakers addressing your conference and personally say a special hello to Dr. Tracy Bale, President of the International Brain Research Organization, and applaud their unparalleled leadership in support of neuroscience on 6 continents throughout the world. Now let me refocus on the main point of my remarks today. And I lead with the one takeaway. That is, this is the thing that if you don't remember anything else I say, remember this. Above all else, African neuroscience is vital to the scientific success of brain projects in the United States and globally. Let me repeat that. African neuroscience is vital, in fact, indispensable to the scientific success of global brain projects. Now let's look back for a second. A decade ago, as a member of the United States Congress, I led the effort that was responsible to generate the U.S. Brain Initiative. I authored and guided the passage, with the help of a very capable staff, the legislative language that created a collaboration between the science and health agencies of the United States government. The result was the creation of a first ever interagency working group on neuroscience. Now, I received the credit, but the success was really made possible by the support of President Obama, the bipartisan leaders, that is the Democrat and Republican leaders of the Appropriations Committee of the United States Congress, and most importantly, Speaker Pelosi. The leadership on a day-to-day basis of Dr. Philip Rubin ensured the scientific focus of the project. This initiative, ongoing as we speak, will spend out some $6.6 billion by 2027, of which $2 billion is already funded over 1,000 important research projects. Now, to follow this up, I then worked on accelerating a successful push for global collaboration, also pharmaceutical cooperation, and improving the imaging equipment that people have to utilize to analyze and understand the human brain. To be clear, the United States initiative is not the only brain project of importance. There are a host of important brain projects, including China's Brain Project with its focus on artificial intelligence and brain health, the European Union's Human Brain Project with 500 scientists and 140 universities, 700 million invested. The Blue Brain Project in Switzerland keyed on using computers to simulate the actions of the brain. Additionally, important brain projects are underway, with 300 million invested by Japan. We have a Russian brain project started in 2019, South Korea, Israel, Canada, and others. Now, with all of the brain projects and with all of the progress, and let us take note that there has been much progress, there's also our undeniable reality. And that is that what is known about our brains today is still overwhelmed by what we don't know. One of the world's leading open source neuroscience authorities, the Allen Institute of Brain Science, says that, quote, the brain remains largely unknown. I went out and visited with Dr. Newsom at Stanford University a few years ago. He co-chairs the U.S. Brain Initiative. And he told me, he said, these are, in sum, the major challenges beyond our current knowledge that are required for us to understand the human brain. Number one, we have no map outlining all of the physical connections in our brains. No map, no real outline of the actual highways, byways, roads, alleys, bridges. Number two, we do not understand the traffic on the roads that we do see, the trillions of electrical and chemical actions that are taking place. Three, we do not yet even have a full understanding of all of the cell types in the brain. Paraphrasing neuroscientist Christoph Cox at the Allen Institute, he says nothing in chemistry makes sense without a periodic table. And nothing is going to make sense in understanding the brain without knowing and understanding the actual existence and functioning of different brain cell types. 4, we have no consensus theory on how the brain actually works, consciously and unconsciously, making you and I the persons that we are. In terms of brain health, the World Health Organization states in a recent report that close to 1.5 billion people suffer today from a neurological disorder. Think about that. Today we have over 500 diseases and disorders of the brain afflicting people, and we have no known cures, almost no effective therapies, and no vaccines for any of them. Today, health professionals, like some assembled here for this conference worldwide, are forced to rely on subjective indicators for diagnosing a degenerative brain disease like Alzheimer's because of the lack of biomarkers. Now, in addition, we have yet to discover a biological basis for mental health disorders like depression or schizophrenia or bipolar disorders. Lastly, COVID-19. We know there are brain-related impacts. Fattah Global hosted a panel of scientists last year on this topic, when most in the world believed that COVID-19 was only a serious respiratory disease. Today, we still don't fully comprehend the long-term effects on our brains. It's also worth noting that we are learning more today about prevention in the area of brain health. And our strategies need to better address prevention. Yes, there's much to do. And I'm going to make 2 proposals today for action. First, Fattah Global has a concept to create an African-controlled and directed brain science and health fund focused on research. Second, work actively to improve partnerships and global brain projects with African brain science and brain health experts. We are offering to collaborate with partners on these essential efforts. On the first, Fattah Global would like to work with the African Union, with the Society for Neuroscience of Africa, and other important stakeholders to develop an African-led and fully controlled research fund. On the second, I offer our active assistance, where invited, in creating and strengthening partnerships with brain projects with African scientists and universities. I believe that the support of African governments, institutions, global partners like the United States, China, the European Union, and other major funders and stakeholders will be available for these efforts. It's clear, in fact imperative, if we want to find the answers that to date have eluded us, it's essential to engage in uplifting African brain science and brain health professionals. Global science is looking for answers about the modern human brain. Of all of neuroscience, African neuroscience is best able to reward us towards the answers and that today's challenges demand. Now here is the Fattah theory of the imperative of uplifting African neuroscience. As persons of science, you know that a theory is a phenomena already supported by data. It's easily contrasted with a hypothesis, which is an assumption made before any research. My theory is based on scientific data. First, we have here an international team from the University of Zurich, which shows that the modern human brain emerged in Africa over 1.5 million years ago. So the first data point that my theory is built on is proximity. Proximity to the emergence of the subject of the investigation, the modern brain. And also proximity to the external environment that impacted and helped shape the evolution of this brain. Data point number 2, population. Africa has the greatest genetic diversity, and the centrality of genetics in developing treatments of brain disorders is settled science. Eric Kandel, Nobel Prize winner. Now, we were together in San Diego at the Society for Neuroscience a few years ago. He was the lead speaker for the Gruber Brain Research Foundation. He said that decoding the human genome has shown us how genes dictate the organization of the brain and how changes in genes influence disorders. Data point number 3, plant and animal life. Both the known and unknown medicinal value of African plants and the partially explored evolutionary convergence of animal brains in Africa are critically important pieces of the puzzle that we need to find answers for. So if you are searching for answers about the modern human brain, go to the environment in which the human brain emerged. Everything we do, this is a quote, everything we do, every thought we've ever had is produced by the human brain. But exactly how it operates remains one of the biggest unsolved mysteries. And it seems the more we probe its secrets, the more surprises we find. Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's talking about the brain that you and I are trying to understand better. It's 15 times larger than the brain of a lab mouse, 4 times the size of a chimp, 100 billion neurons with trillions of connections, over 1,000 cell types. I'm certain that the future of African neuroscience is bright, especially because of your laser focus on what I call the neuroscience of human health. That is, caring for others who are afflicted with brain injuries or diseases. Now, it's been said, when at a dead end, start back at the beginning. Science verifies that the modern human brain emerged in Africa. A few years ago, the theme of a remarkable Brain Week program in Cameroon, led by Dr. Najasim, the theme was, if a brain doesn't work, the rest doesn't matter. Say that with me. If the brain doesn't work, the rest doesn't matter. In 1935, Kwame Nkrumah came to Lincoln. A decade later, Albert Einstein came to Lincoln. Both men had theories. One, Einstein's the theory of relativity, and Nkrumah's the theory of Africa being born in each of us. Nkrumah had to press his point for admission to Lincoln. In fact, his first letter asking him to be admitted went unanswered for a year. A year later, he wrote back, and he asked for admission again, and he offered. When questioned about why he wanted to come, he said that for him and for his life, he needed the educational opportunity because there was much to do and little done. Let us, you and I, press towards the mark because you know and I know that in neuroscience, there's much to do and little done. Thank you, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.